Alright, I have something to say. A few things actually. Because there are so many varying opinions about the polls that I make in certain situations, whether it be PvE or PvP. The fact is, it's not really about being friendly all the time. It's not really about being a rat. Overall, it's not about the way you decide to attack someone. Because nothing in this game is fair. I mean, life isn't fair. And I think that's actually why this game, arcraiders, has such a profound effect on people's mental state while playing, because it reminds us so much of what people do in real life. It's not fair. You'll go through situations where you're screwed over and over again. You have no idea why somebody would do what they're doing to you. On the flip side, you'll have somebody who helps you completely out of the kindness of their heart, and you're flabbergasted as to why they would do that. Because life is brutal, but it's also beautiful. So instead of trying to justify why somebody does things in arcraiders or labeling them as a rat or friendly or whatever you want to call them, why not give purpose behind what they do? Because they're going to do it anyway, regardless. And this is what I'm talking about. That's what this conversation is about and more, but it's pretty much a concept, a perspective. And also this is to embark. Okay, if you're listening, I want to present this as an open letter in hopes that the right people at the studio might actually hear it. Someone in my Discord by the name of Richie D, shout out to him, came up with a genuinely strong solution for the quote unquote rat problem. And it opened up a bigger conversation about where arcraiders is heading. And right now, a lot of what happens in the game feels disconnected. People are fighting because they want to, of course, but they're also fighting because there's nothing else pushing them in any other direction. Rats rat because nothing stops them. PvE players stay out of it completely because there's nothing that rewards them for it. And so this kill on sight mentality has become the default simply because the game doesn't give anyone a reason to do anything else. So we've reached a point where everyone is reacting to the same empty space. No goals, no incentives, just habit. And of course you can say that's the replay value, the actual fun factor of PvP and PvE, but there could be more. So this idea is not to really limit anyone. In fact, they can continue doing what they've been doing, but give them structure to the behaviors that already exist. And this is where the weapons tie in. I made a poll about this. Apparently, there's a lot to say in this matter. And we knew this before, but after actually testing for hours, it's pretty clear that arcraiders doesn't have a true weapon hierarchy. Almost everything becomes equally dangerous once you hit level 4. And that sounds great on paper. No single meta, more flexibility, but it creates a huge problem also. A player with nothing to lose can take out a player who's carrying everything. And a level 4 Stitcher can delete a level 4 Bobcat. A Rattler is pretty terrible at level 1, but once it's at level 4, it can be compared to the Tempest. And so it all blends together at the top eventually. And that's where the rat problem starts. Because if running a free loadout carries no drawback and full gear carries no real advantage, then the risk reward structure collapses. So if the game isn't going to distinguish power through weapon scaling, it needs to establish purpose somewhere else. Something that influences the reason players choose to fight or avoid fighting. And so here are some solutions. And the first piece of that is simple. If you're carrying more, you should get something for it. Not a huge buff, okay? I know you guys are going to go crazy in the comment section, but not an unfair advantage, but just enough defensive benefit to acknowledge that someone who's risking a valuable bag shouldn't get erased by someone with nothing invested, aka a free loadout. It creates a baseline of fairness without removing the danger or unpredictability. And here's what I want to propose, right? Factions. This will tie everything together. It's not classes. And it's not locked builds. It's nothing restrictive, just a way to give structure to the types of players that already exist in the game. This doesn't replace the skill tree, by the way. It doesn't force anyone into a lane. It simply gives players a sense of identity and progression that matches the way they already choose to play. So like, if you're a PvE specialist, let's call them the arc hunters. Some players naturally gravitate towards arcs already, hunting, farming them, navigating to the POIs. For them, the Arc Hunters faction makes sense. Their bonuses come from interacting with Arc and doing what they already enjoy. And then, of course, you have the Rat Brigade, PvP Stalkers. These players move slowly, listen carefully. They position well and capitalize on mistakes. They aren't playing dirty, they're playing intentionally. That's the Rat Brigade. And their progression would come from PvP encounters, but with purpose instead of blind aggression. And when I say progression, I mean that these factions would have like their own skill tree, which would give them bonuses for doing what they're doing. For example, the Rat Brigade would have increased footstep hearing, skill tree including weapon swap speed, proximity detection. And like I talked about the arc hunters before, they would have like reduction in arc aggro and slight increased damage to arcs, stuff like that, right? So that they can lean into these roles without people labeling them as something that is necessarily wrong. Then you have finally the Guardians, which sounds cool. Their support and response to players. And I've seen so many comments like this. So many people play the game like first responders, reviving, stabilizing, and stepping in when things get messy. That's the Guardian role. They grow through helping, like their skill tree would include increased movement speed with extra healing effectiveness on others and quick item usage speed. And by the way, all of these ideas came from the guy in my Discord named Richie D. And I saw this message, I was like, yo, this will be a perfect like inclusion for a game like this. But of course, this would shift the behavior naturally of the game, right? But in a good way, because all three factions can still PvP, they can all do anything they want and nothing is taken away. We're just giving them roles for what they already do. What changes is the reason behind people's choices. Arc hunters chase arcs because it benefits them. The Rat Brigade takes fights because that's how they progress, and Guardians step in because the game actually recognizes that behavior. None of it forces the players into boxes, it simply makes their decisions make sense. Because what the game is missing isn't balance or content variety, it's direction. Right now, everyone's improvising in a vacuum. With factions, with backpack value, with clearer incentives, the chaos doesn't disappear. It just becomes understandable, right? So you could begin the attack and be like, oh, yep, that's the Rat Brigade. It would seem less malicious. I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I think it's a pretty good idea. I mean, the expeditions are coming up, right? People are getting their stuff ready to do that, and they're excited about that, and you're going to regrind the same thing that you've done before. That's cool, but I mean, after that, then what, right? The same type of repetitive PvP cycle, which is good for replay value, but only temporarily. It needs a little more to mix up this whole conundrum, because we don't really need our behavior restricted. We just need a reason for the way we behave. But anyways, I just wanted to make this kind of like a letter to the developers and just to talk to you guys in the community, because I know like when I was talking about the weapons, how they're all really pretty much on an even keel. And by the way, when you have an epic weapon or a legendary weapon at level 4 compared to a gray weapon at level 4, first of all, the Tempest and Patinas, they deteriorate so much faster than the lower tier weapons, and then they cost so many more resources to repair. And that's what I mean. It doesn't really make any sense to go out there with those higher tier weapons when you can just get shredded by a level 4 kettle, and those things are broken with the bullet velocity and such. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's good because everyone is included and nothing is really broken and overpowered, but then what's the point of an epic weapon? You know what I mean? It's actually a disadvantage for the higher tier weapons. But anyways, let me know what you think about this full conversation down in the comment section below. I would appreciate your feedback, and I want to hear what you got to say. And if you found this conversation insightful, then like the video, and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one, fam. Be right out.